Lawrence Taylor came and see me wrestle Sting at the Meadowlands in New Jersey, right? And we drank till 4 o'clock in the morning. They were playing the Bears the next day, and he still had 3 sacks.
Is it true that you were once, accidentally maybe brought 2 women to your high school prom?
She flew in from Florida. I didn't know her mom would do it. I met her during spring break. 18 to 28, no boyfriends, no husbands. I'll be at the Marriott tonight. Woo!
Everybody was really shocked to hear the news of the passing of Hulk Hogan.
Well, I talked to him the day before. I'd like to use Kid Rock saying, "You never met a motherfucker quite like me."
We're living in the good old days. Take a look around. Ain't it funny how feels like we're in the good old days? Go and grab a cup, go and fill it up. Cheers to living in the good old days.
As an athlete, you put your own style on your glory days. However, the rare ones find a way to turn that style into cultural phenomenon. For over 50 years in the wrestling business, no one has stood the test of time longer than my guest today. 16-time world champion, woo, Ric Flair. He's the styling, profiling, limousine riding, jet flying, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing son of a gun. This is the guy. To be the man, you have to beat the man. And when it comes to glory days, very few can match the levels of Ric Flair. He's a 2-time WWE Hall of Famer, a legendary partier, and one of the most beloved figures in sports history. I can't wait for you to hear this conversation. Me and this guy, we definitely get along. This is Glory Days with Nature Boy Ric Flair. Woo! Ric Flair, how we doing, my friend?
Good, thank you. Honored to be a part of the show.
I know you're a huge college football fan. You made some news in the college football world. You went after Paul Finebaum and called him the most absurd and competent analyst in all of college football. What is it about Paul that kind of just gets under your skin and pisses you off?
Well, if he wouldn't make it personal, it wouldn't bother me. But Jim Harbaugh and I have been friends since 1989 when he was playing for the Bears, right? And then I got recruited to go to Michigan and all that. Anyway, long story short, I ended up going to Minnesota. But when he was on Paul, I didn't start till last year when he was on Harbaugh's ass 2 years ago, right? And then he said, "He'll never get a job in the NFL." Come on. And then he called Lincoln Riley. He called him a coward. He said the coward has run to the West Coast. You can't say things like that. You could have an opinion of the team. I get that. But, that's not the way social media works. And these guys, they murder each other. No one will never have to deal with each other. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no.
In the 80s, we would have handled it a different way.
In the 80s, you probably would have seen him in the street somewhere. Or seen
in a bar, right?
It would have been a lot more personal.
Well, follow him in the bathroom, lock the door up, give him the quick shampoo and let him up.
The good old days. I mean, it does. And I think in the media and in sports media a little bit these days, people do get a lot more personal with things, especially when they're very opinionated about their stances and about what's going on. Yeah. I mean, look, the things that happened in Michigan and Harbaugh and all that, like to say he's never going to get a job in the NFL again or go anywhere, really is just an outlandish thing to say. And Lincoln Riley, a guy that I've known a little bit as well, it's things that you
can't call him a coward. I mean, what do you gain by saying he's a coward? What bothers me, because I've been a target a few times, is your kids hear this shit. It's not like your kids walk around tone deaf. They know what's going on when they're 5 years old. You know what I mean? And if Paul Finebaum was calling Lincoln Riley a coward, his kid's going to hear about it. I mean, he's going to say, "Dad, why would you say that?" I mean, I can hear the conversation now.
And that's something that people really don't think about too, right? They're just going after one person. People do have families and kids and see this.
Especially
and it's all
Jim Harbaugh. My God, Jim Harbaugh might be one of the greatest guys I've ever known in my life. Have you met him?
Jim Harbaugh actually recruited me to Stanford. Yeah. When I was in high school, I walked into the office one day and it was just random. I'd never spoken to anybody on his staff, never spoken to anybody. And I walked into the office and had a huge envelope from Stanford. And I opened it up and it was a full ride to Stanford from Jim Harbaugh. And I had never spoken to anybody, hadn't been in talks with the program. And I remember coming back home and telling my parents and being like, wow, we got a real football offer that could make a difference for, education at the time. Andrew Luck was playing there. They were an unbelievable program, and ended up going out that summer and going to a camp at Stanford, and met him and worked with him for a day. Really intense, but a really, really great coach. And I thought
unbelievable, right?
He was going to use me at a lot of different positions. It wasn't going to be just quarterback. So that was one thing that kind of turned me off on the whole thing. But I did get to have a cool weekend at Stanford, working under him and being around him, and thought it was awesome.
Yeah, Palo Alto is awesome too. No, just be around Jim Harbaugh. He's just the most decent guy in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, his children have had some health issues. You just can't take off on a guy like that.
No doubt. And Paul calls himself the mouth of the South. So if we were cutting a promo on Paul in a wrestling match, or what would that sound like if we were going to tee that up for him?
I don't want to do. I can't do that. I'll be on social media again. Well, how did you pick A&M over Stanford? Man, Stanford's perfect.
Okay, so I went to Stanford. When I got the offer from Stanford, it really opened up a lot of doors for me. And a school that I really wanted to go to out of high school that I was really interested in at that point in time was Oregon. I loved Chip Kelly. I loved that offense. I think for me, coming out of high school, the jerseys and them having really good teams going to the Rose Bowl every year was really, really enticing for me. So when we went to visit Stanford that summer, I also had been in talks with Oregon, and Chip Kelly was pretty much like, listen, we're not going to pay for you to come out here, but if you guys want to pay for your way up here, come to a camp. We'll work you out and see if we can make something work out. So I went to California, to the West Coast, to work with a quarterback coach of mine in San Diego. We drove up as a family and drove to Oregon and went to the camp. I meet Marcus Mariota that first day whenever we're in the same camp together, and Oregon told me that they were going to take multiple quarterbacks that year because they were looking for somebody. So me and Marcus work out. The workout ends, and after that, I drive down to Palo Alto to go to Stanford.
Yeah.
About 2 days into that visit at Stanford, I get a call from Chip Kelly as I'm on Stanford campus getting a tour around, and he's like, we're going to offer you a scholarship. And I remember getting off the phone call with him and talking to my mom and dad and being like, man, I really, really liked Eugene. I like Coach Kelly. I like everything about the offense. If they're going to offer me, I think that's a place I want to go to school. So actually, I committed to Oregon while on the Stanford campus, visiting and working out with Jim Harbaugh, and ended up telling him there that I was going to commit to Oregon. And, I committed to Oregon. This was probably about July of the summer before my senior year. I went back home, went to training camp, went through our first 3 games of the season, and A&M reached out to my head football coach and told them that they were going to come to a game, our 3rd game of the year versus a big school in San Antonio. Had an unbelievable game against a rival school, and A&M ended up offering me really late in the process after that. It took a couple days, and was just thinking about how hard it was for my family to get from Kerrville, Texas to Oregon. It's a 2-hour drive to Austin. It's a flight from Austin to Portland, and then a layover from Portland to Eugene. And when I was thinking about it, being a very family-oriented person and being somebody who has all my family in Texas, I had always wanted to go to a Texas school, but TCU was a place I was really wanted to go to. Texas was a place I really wanted to go to. So not getting those offers and then getting the Texas A&M offer, really just wanted to stay in the home state. And, it took me about a week. And I remember having to pick up the phone as a 17-year-old kid and call Chip Kelly and tell him that I wasn't coming. And let's just say he was less than pleased about that, for sure. He gave me some nice words before I got off the phone, but, committed to A&M after that, and the rest was kind of history.
Yeah. Well, that worked out well for you.
It did, and it worked out well
for a hell of a career.
It worked out well for Mariota as well, to have 2 guys who come in that day and both get a chance to go to New York and win the Heisman and have great careers. I think it worked out for him. I think it worked out for me. And, in the end, I think it worked out for Chip Kelly as well. Football brings out all the emotions. It's why we love the game. But that feeling when your bet doesn't hit and getting hung out to dry by your old sports book, that feeling, is a thing of the past with the game day guarantee from Fanatics Sportsbook. Here's how it works. Every single game from now until October, new customers get up to $100 back in fan cash if your bet loses. Guaranteed. And now, additionally, new customers can also bet $10 to get $100 in fan cash. So think about it this way. If you're betting with Fanatics, you're either winning or winning money back in fan cash. Fan cash that you can use for anything in the Fanatics universe, like apparel, tickets, events, and more. Why risk it with other sportsbooks when you can switch to the sure thing? Every single game day until this October comes with a guarantee. Your old sportsbook, they're out for the season. Fanatics Sportsbook has got your back. Go check it out yourself. Download the app today. Fanatics Sportsbook. Winning hits different here.
Not available in all states. Terms apply. See Fanatics Sportsbook app. You got a gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 1-800-GAMBLER. In Connecticut, call 888-789-7777. In MA, call 800-327-5050. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY. And in Maryland, visit mdgamblinghelp.org.
I think you would be the first to admit that women, were one of our vices for sure. You were married.
No,
still
Johnny,
on TV.
not
on
me.
TV telling this is amazing that get on TV and you're telling women which hotel you're staying at.
18 to 28. No boyfriends, no husbands. I'll be at the Marriott tonight. Woo!
Now, how did you get away with this? And this was just always part of your
Oh,
personality.
I used to tell my wife. She said, "Why aren't you wearing your wedding ring on TV?" I said, "It kills my gimmick. I'm supposed to be a single bachelor." And she said, "Why do you always say that you're staying at the hotel?" I said, "Well, they give us free rooms. What do you think? This is all planned out."
Is it true that you were once accidentally maybe brought two women to your high school prom?
How'd you hear that? One from Florida. She flew in from Florida. I didn't know her mom would do it. I met her during spring break.
How did that go down?
How did you hear that story?
I got a good.
I didn't have the heart to tell the girl I was dating there that I met another girl in Florida. I said, "Girl, there's been a misunderstanding here. Can we just get along?"
Did they?
Yeah, they had no choice. I was miserable, but
I can't imagine what that night was like for you. Hopefully, it ended in a good way. How many times would you say you had a girl at your hotel and you woke up and you realized that maybe you had something gone or maybe the safe was wide open and she was gone?
I've lost 4 Rolexes.
Oh well, I'm probably
right?
I'm probably more than that.
I woke up with 2 girls in Baltimore one night, and my wallet, my Rolex are gone. I go, "Okay, which one you got my? What are you talking about?" She said, "You took your Rolex and threw it in a bowl of spaghetti last night at Sabatino's and said you had 13 of them." What am I going to do? Call the cops?
Yeah, I guess what can you do, really?
2 girls in my room, right? Hello.
For me being in the NFL, I think, had an occasional thing here and there where maybe you miss practice or you're late to meetings or breaking curfew. But, how'd you manage to go as hard as you did and still show up on time and be there for meetings?
I don't know. That's one thing I'm queer for time management. That's the only thing that I can't deal with in life is someone doesn't function on time. Because we literally have to catch the first flight every day to be to the city. Because one thing about Vince McMahon, if you're not in that door at 1:00, it's a $500. It used to be $500. Now it's like a $2,500 fine, unless you have special permission. Because they put so much into rehearsal, from the dramatic part of it to the people in ring performing, to makeup and all the costumes, and it's a long ass day.
Yeah.
So, he expects, well, it's not Vince now, but Hunter expects the guys to be there on time.
Yeah, I mean, it is something. No matter in what professional world you're in, it's probably one of the most important things that you have is following that schedule, being there early, making sure you're prepared to go on and put on a great product. Right? There's fans and a huge business behind this whole thing. You have to be there to make sure you're putting on a good product for those fans.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, I got to tell you a great Lawrence Taylor story. So Lawrence Taylor came and see me wrestle Sting at the Meadowlands in New Jersey, right? So he used to have a bar called LT's, and he drove a blue Jaguar back then. So we went back to his bar, and we drank till 4:00 in the morning. And they were playing the Bears the next day. And I heard later on from one of his teammates, he got to the building a half hour before the game, and he still had 3 sacks.
Yeah, that guy is absolutely built different.
Oh my
sure.
God, he's built different, man. You got to hang out with him one night, Johnny.
No doubt. I see him at some autograph signings here and there.
Yeah,
we always
I
have
do
really
too.
good interactions.
He is fun as hell.
Maybe
He'll
next time I
smoke
see
a
him.
cigar. Last time I saw him, he smoked 2 cigars and drank a whole bottle of straight Cavassier.
He's still got it, I'm sure.
Yeah, he does.
You know, you have all these stories of partying, you know, are just as legendary as all the titles you've won and everything you've done in a wrestling match. You know, your Kid Rock or Post Malone or Snoop, you know. Why do you think it is? He's the best. You know, why do you think it is that popular culture continues to find you, surround itself around you? Obviously, the Migos come out with the song. I mean, so many people.
You know what it was? I think it's a lot to do with the way I dressed. I always dressed immaculately, and I always liked jewelry. You know, even before jewelry was popular. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Like Snoop will say, Flair was wearing bling before bling was bling. You know what I mean? And I just caught on, and. Now I'm lucky, you know. I'm extremely close to Post Malone. He just bought a 10,000-acre ranch in Utah. I just saw him in Orlando last month. Yeah, he's one of the most genuinely nicest guys in the world. Boy, I'm not kidding you. Jelly roll too.
To be around Post throughout the years, and you know, definitely back in 2016, 17. You know, being a guy from Texas,
he's a Fort Worth guy.
Yeah, have a lot of similarities, and just how his personality is and how he treats people and
unbelievable.
The way he is every single day of his life is just so authentically him that I think it's, you know, it's amazing to be around. It's infatuating to be around, and, you know, to treat people that way and be the way that he is with so much fame and so much celebrity and so much going on.
Yeah.
You know, it's an amazing and rare thing to see.
Yeah, it's the truth. He's humble. He says he's just always going to be the coolest motherfucker in the room. We're talking about me. I said, you think so? He came to see me in the hospital when I was dying.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What a man. What a man.
Yep.
You know, as you look back on everything, and you've had some crazy nights and some crazy bar tabs, and what do you feel like the biggest bar tab you've ended up running out on, or walking out and seeing the bill and being like, holy?
Well, I never ran out on anything. I used to get what they call a draw. So we used to have what's called the Crockett Cup in Baltimore. So I did my usual promo at the Crockett Cup. We'll be at the Harbor Master Marriott, right? 18 to 28, no boyfriends, no husbands, right? And we had the private elevator. And so the limo driver, Bill's his name, he's dead now. Only the girls on it that came upstairs, right? So I came downstairs in the morning to pay my tab. And you know, first of all, it's impossible to get a Marriott hotel to open a bar after it's closed.
Yeah.
Well, they opened it up for us, and we brought her more. We didn't go to bed till 6, right? And I came downstairs to pay my bill. It was $8,000, and I put my credit card down, and it bounced up to the ceiling and bounced right back. I had to call the promoter and say, "You might have to come down here and help me get checked out."
Now, I want to talk to you about the Hall of Fame app. While I love football, that's not the only sport I love to watch. I love interacting and going to other high-stakes matchups as well. And we've all been there. Your parlay's one leg away, and then a relief pitcher gives up a walk-off bomb in the ninth. It's heartbreak. Sound familiar? Well, the Hall of Fame app is built to fix that. Started by two lifelong sports fans who also happen to be Ivy League grads, Hall of Fame makes parlay research smarter, faster, and data-driven. It saves me a ton of time. This is not like your friend's group chat full of hot takes. It's full analytics engine. The Hall of Fame app gives you access to advanced stats, historical data, and powerful tools to help you think smarter. The app is built for the everyday sports fan, so it's easy and intuitive to use. You'll get an idea of your parlay's chance to hit, identify weak legs so you can weed them out before you place them, and I find it extremely user-friendly. It's easy to navigate, especially if I'm searching for some really last-minute stats and data. It has me covered. Whether it's MLB, NBA, NFL, NHL, or college sports, the app gives you beautiful charts, clean visuals, and real insight, not just hype. They believe anything the books know, you should know too. Because parlays don't have to be dumb. With Hall of Fame, they aren't. With a 4.9 rating in the App Store and over 6,000 5-star reviews, it's safe to say the Hall of Fame app already has helped a lot of people. Our listeners get a 7-day free trial and 50% off their first month. Just download the Hall of Fame app and use code GLORY at checkout, and you're good to go.
As we move forward a little bit this summer, I think, everybody was really shocked to hear the news of the passing of Hulk Hogan, somebody that you were obviously really close with. What was that experience like for you initially hearing that news and obviously losing a friend?
Well, I talked to him the day before, and he was fine. Man, now the whole thing is breaking down. They think that they were, he was taking illegal subscriptions, or a doctor was overprescribing. I mean, you never know what to believe anymore. So I'm not quoting what I know for a fact. I'm just telling you that if you Google Hogan, his daughter's upset. I mean, the family is divided, and that's nothing. Nothing worse. And you're talking about family. If you haven't got a family, it's hard to have anything. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course.
And the older you get, the more you depend on your family.
Of course.
And
when you look back on everything and everything's said and done, and things go away that you've had in your life for a long time, the one constant thing that you do have is the people that are around you and have been around you your whole life, and your family, begins to mean more to you, begins to spend more time with them. I'm sure that's something that you've recognized as your life has continued on, and you look around and you have those people around that mean so much to you and do so much for you and are able to help you out in the position that you're in life.
Well, it's nice. I mean, it's funny you brought that up because it's really a point of contention with me right now. Like, I'm 5 years older than Hulk, and I can tell you that if you've ever seen one of my documentaries, that I lived every minute of my life like that. I didn't go to bed I probably will never go to sleep till the day I die. Actually, I've been sick. I've been in an airplane crash. I've been hit by lightning, and I almost died in 2017 on life support for 14 days. It took me 2 years to come back from that. Then, of course, they tell you not to drink, and that's never going to happen.
Sorry. I think we have a lot of similarities in that way, where it's like, you do view life as a one-time thing, and it's something that you want to get the absolute most out of, and something that you want to look back and, at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, if you can say anything about me or you, you can look back at that guy's life and be like, damn, he did it right and had a lot of good times. Maybe didn't make the best decisions all the time, but at the end of the day, damn, his life looked fun.
Yeah, it was. But what I was going to say to you is, though, it literally for a week, it gave me anxiety that Hogan died. I just talked to him. But a lot of people don't realize he'd had 11 back operations.
Yeah.
You know about that, right?
Yeah.
Both hips replaced, both knees replaced, one shoulder replaced, and it got infected and it caused a heart. This is stuff that a lot of people don't know. It caused, he had a heart attack almost while he was under anesthesia with his shoulder. And now he just was getting the second of 2 neck surgeries, and they found out he had leukemia. And they never should have been operating on him with leukemia. That's just what I've been told by doctors that I ask.
Yeah, I mean, it's you guys. It's a very taxing, sport that you guys do and play. Like it's unbelievably tough on your body. As much as you're wrestling, as much as you're doing that, like you're really putting yourself out there on the line. And when it's all said and done, I'm sure there's very few people that come out of having a career in wrestling that are scot-free and healthy.
But I basically can tell you without overthinking it, I'm probably the only guy. I'm the oldest that's still around. Well, actually, Dory Funk Sr. is. He's a good old Texas boy, but I've never had the stuff because I worked out so hard. Whether I slept or not, I did free squats, push-ups, crunches, and I'm just lucky. I don't have an ache or pain, which is insane.
I feel lucky for the same regard. I got to play, 4 years of high school football, 2 or 3 years of college, and then 2 in the NFL. So I almost played, 10 years of football. Never had to go under the knife. Never had to have surgery. Never broken a bone. The concussion stuff definitely ramped up a little bit later in my career as I was playing in the NFL and in Canada. It's one of those things where you don't even know if you can describe a concussion at that point, right? Like, you hit your head, you get tackled, you fall, or you make a collision, you get up and you see stars and, you're a little bit loopy, but you don't think about it as your adrenaline's going and you're playing in front of 100,000 people. It doesn't really, and especially when you're so young, it doesn't really compute to you. So who really knows how many concussions have been had at the end of the day?
Exactly. I mean, and now that's one of the most guarded things in our business. I mean, they're really concussion. Dr. Maroon out of the University of Pittsburgh runs the concussion department. And man, you've got to pass everything in the world. They don't play around with that at all.
Yeah, I think they've taken the right steps to ensure that you are taking care of your brain and listen, in a competitive world, whether it's wrestling or it's football or it's whatever, you want to compete and you want to be on the field, and being on the field and being available is the only way to really get out there and compete at the highest level. So in a position where guys are, giving everything they have to go out and try and be on the field week in and week out, you're going to push through anything, especially something like that only gives you problems at certain points of time, throughout the day.
Yeah, no, I'm very lucky. I mean, I was telling your producer earlier that from 83 to 85, 3 years, I had 17 days off. And half the time I didn't go home because I was a day off would be me flying from Australia back to the States, and then back literally within the same week, then back to New Zealand, and then back to the States. And I got 1 week where I went 11,000 miles, and then I went from Atlanta back to Tokyo.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, that's unbelievable.
That's a lot of drinking.
Yeah, no doubt. That's a lot of hopping on some planes.
And that's wrestling an hour every night. Back then, they made me wrestle an hour because that you couldn't beat their local champion, so it was either an hour or we went over. And half the guys I'm working with had never wrestled more than 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like it wasn't always Ricky Steamboat.
No doubt. As you attend Hulk's funeral, right? And what do you remember most about that day? And obviously a sad moment, but also a celebration of a guy who had done so much in your world and so much right in front of your eyes throughout the years.
Well, I had become privileged to know, and I just can't talk about it. His daughter wrote me a letter, so I knew about some stuff that was going on, and I can't share it with you because I'd be betraying her. But there was so much going on, and I got the letter the day after he died from her that I was just watching everybody. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, a lot. Like Kid Rock came. I mean, every wrestler. I think there was a lot of wrestlers that should have been there that didn't come. But that's everybody makes their own choices. He wrestled at a time when it was very political, and you had to stand up for yourself. It wasn't like now where hey, it's this way or the highway. You had to fight for your position in life, right? And he did it, and he made some enemies along the way. And I think those guys didn't show up. But aside from that, I thought it was nice. But I was kind of people watching. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
To see what was going on, and I was surprised at some people that didn't come, and surprised at some that did come. So, it just, I don't know. It was different. I certainly didn't stay for the celebration, and it really did. The fact that we were always depicted as enemies, right? Hogan, Ric Flair, right? But he really was a great guy. For me, when my son was in rehab, in the hospital dying on life support, I needed some money. He lent it to me because he went to 5 different rehab centers, or 6, at $40,000 a whack, and I didn't have insurance. Insurance doesn't cover that.
Yep.
And they take the money in advance.
Yep.
So I was going through money like water back then, Plus I was getting a divorce. So I just kind of sat back and looked, and now the family is divided. I don't know exactly how it stands. I'll reach out to Brooke probably this week, but Brooke didn't come to the funeral. What does that tell you? That's how upset she was with the circumstances.
As you look back on his life, and you guys have a lot of memories together, what do you feel like is one of your favorite memories of Hulk, or a story that fans might not know, or something that always sticks out to you where you're like, man, that was one of our best times together?
Well, being from Texas, you'll like this. The 3 most over guys I've ever wrestled in my life. By over, I mean when they walked through the door, the place just died, right? Dusty Rhodes, of course, Kerry Von Erich, Electricity. You had to see Kerry. I'm sure you grew up on him, right?
Yeah.
Remember that video of him riding the Palomino to the Rocky music?
Oh, yeah.
It was unbelievable when Kerry came out the arena door. And the other being Hulk. And we were in Chicago at the Rosemont, 19,000 people, and I'd never wrestled him in Chicago. And when he came out that door, he did this stuff. I looked at the referee. I said, "This will be the easiest thing in the world." We never talked back then, And I said, "Sell your eyes and your nuts, brother. We'll tear the place down." He said, "What?" I said, "Sell your eyes, like when I poke you in the eye or when I kick you in the nuts, and we'll tear the place down." Once I got him down on his knees, like he was my size, right? Like kind of like I did with Andre, where I could beat him up and people, because Hulk was originally 6'8". When he died, he was 6'4" from all those back operations. But brother, was he over? We call him the Golden Goose. The crowd just went crazy. He sold merchandise like crazy. He was easy to work with. I just put that blade on my finger and said, "Throw me in the post, brother. Let's do it." Whoop.
If you're 21 or older and looking for pure, potent, reliable cannabis, it's time to check out 3chi.com. Since 2018, 3chi has been America's go-to cannabis brand, building the strongest, cleanest THC products with science and safety at the core. Whether it's gummies, drinks, vapes, formulated by expert biochemists, or flower and pre-rolls grown from the industry's best, everything is double tested for potency you can feel and safety you can trust. I think that 3Chi's premium seltzers are the best tasting THC seltzer on the market. Finding your vibe is simple. 3Chi dials in effects so you can feel exactly the way you want, when you want. Relax after a long day, lock into focus, lighten up to socialize, ease into sleep, find relief when you need it most, or take a quick trip to outer space. However you want to feel, 3Chi's got you covered. Head to 3chi.com and take the product quiz to find your perfect fit. That's the number 3, CHI.com. It's not available in all states. You have to be 21 and above, consume responsibly, and never drive high. Use code Johnny at 3chi.com for 30% off everything store-wide. Again, that's code Johnny at 3chi.com.
You know, as we mentioned, your 16 world championships, when you look back at all those title wins and rivalries and everything throughout such a long career, which one stands out the most to you and one that is the most memorable to you?
Well, the one that would be the most memorable to me is winning it for the second time. When I won it the first time, I wasn't ready, man. I thought, because I'd only been wrestling good wrestlers in the area I was from, right? When I won the titles and I went on the road to wrestle all these other guys that had no clue what an hour Broadway was or a draw, I mean, and I didn't draw shit. We didn't draw flies. I mean, I did in my area, in the Carolinas and Florida and that, but it was so political back then and tough. I mean, I went to Puerto Rico a lot, which was tough. You know, Brody got stabbed over there. I mean, I was the first white guy to go to the islands as a champion, you know, and boy, you talk about some violent stuff. I mean, they over there, boy, they think it's real. So do the cops. They're not helping you. But I think the biggest one would be when I won at number 2 with Starrcade, Flair for the Gold, when Harley came in. And Harley put me over, I think. And then at that point, I'd had enough experience to go back out, and I drew money.
You know, as you look at 17 games in an NFL season for us is such a grind. And no, in the 70s, 80s, you wrestle 400 matches a year. You know, how do you manage to keep up with that schedule?
Well, you're right. Twice on Saturday, twice on Sunday. My accountant said to me, "How can you wrestle 411 times?" I said, "Twice on Saturday and twice on Sunday. An hour, twice."
I mean, that schedule has to just be taxing for you. How do you recover, especially when you're out and you're drinking and you're partying and you're barely getting any sleep?
What you do? You know, you want to hear a funny story? So I had to wrestle a guy named Butch Reed in Orlando, and it was in a cage. And Eddie Graham was the promoter, and he said, "You can't use the cage as a weapon." Oh God, okay. So I must have lost 9 pounds. It was an old tin building, right? The old Orlando Arena. And I must have cut myself 300 times. And my heart was racing like hell, so I called my dad on a payphone. My dad was in Minneapolis, a doctor. And he said, I said, "Dad, what would make my heart race like crazy?" He said, "When was the last time you went to bed?" And I had to think. He said, "That's what, get some sleep, relax." Well, I had to leave for Japan the next day. And I just didn't want to go. I just want to go. But I got on a plane, drank all the way there. I mean, literally drank. I might have stopped for a half hour, but I got there, and we had paper tickets back then. And I would made up my mind. I could hear Baba's wife, Matoka, going, "Flair son, please report to Maggie." Saying, "Flair son." I walked over to the guy. I said, "How do I get the hell out of here?" He said, "What about your bag?" Just, "I don't care. I'll get him another time." And I got on a plane, and Johnny, I was so flipped. I sat down next to this guy, and I said, "Can I talk to you?" He looked at me like, "What?" I said, "Could I talk to you? I'm having a tough day." And so I drank all the way to Chicago with him, and then I flew home, and my promoter was there waiting for me, and I had to fly all the way back the same day.
Wow.
Anyway,
wow.
For 10 years, I got a Christmas card from that guy. He said, "I didn't know how famous you were back then, but I really enjoyed talking to you. You lead an interesting life." I said, "No shit."
I think that's something we have in common as well, which is like I can sit down on a plane like that or anywhere and strike.
Oh, now they all wear headphones and look at the computer. It's boring as shit. Flight attendants that aren't cooperative. God, I liked it in the 80s, man.
Good times for sure. A lot different. You know, as you continue on and you see wrestling change and you see, you know, John Cena come into his own, and at WrestleMania 41, he broke your world championship record by becoming a 17-time world champion. You know, what were those conversations like with John, knowing he had a shot at breaking the record and then eventually, you know, doing that?
Well, I'm happy for John. John and I are very close. He's not allowed to hang around me. That's what they told him. We went on a tour in Europe, and he spent 10 grand, and I had to spend equal amount on a 12-day tour, right? On just drinking, right? So Vince called him in and said, "Look, I know Flair's fun to be with, but
We got to cut this off."
If you're gonna be the flagship of our company, you can't hang around Flair." They come out from a few friends over the years.
Yeah, I'm sure they know better. They have to protect their investment from a good time, you know.
Exactly.
I think you could probably sink your claws into just about anybody and get on your run.
Well, if I can just get him to sit down and have one drink,
Yeah,
it's kind of like the girl, right? Just have one. Well, have another. Do you like martinis?
Those things get rolling.
Yes, sir.
The WWE has a new show called on Netflix called Unreal. You know, it kind of pulls back the curtain on the business.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how do you feel about the audience now getting to see the secrets you work so hard to protect throughout the years, but also
That's
get
a
an
great
inside look
question.
to everything?
You know, that's one of the reasons that I've gotten along so well, and I've learned to adjust to it. Man, there was a time in the '80s somebody said something about wrestling, especially down in Texas, man, with Harley Race, those country western bars, those cowboys thinking they're half tough. Me and Harley Race got in a fight with about 11 guys from SMU. I said, "Harley, let's get some drinks. Just relax." He spotted a pool table, a bunch of players and girls around it, right? So he goes, "Ricky, get me a cold Miller Lite. I'm going to the pool table." So he goes over to the pool table, takes the cue off the wall, chalks it, and knocks everybody's quarter off. Like there's 12 quarters on the table. I got the winner. Problem? Yeah. As a matter of fact, we got 10 SMU football players beating the shit out of us. We got them. Lucky they got me off them. I said, "Harley, the cops pulled them off us."
Sometimes you get yourself into some situations you're probably not prepared for, and you just got to go in and try and kick as much ass as you can.
Yeah, he didn't care, man. But you know, he was in that car wreck, and he had that 12-inch plate put in his forearm, right? The car wreck killed his first wife, but that plate was like this thick to save his arm and all that, right? So he smoking with his right hand, and nope, and everybody's looking for the right, and he go, "Really? Wham!" I mean, I've seen him just break a guy's jaw and split right off because the guy never saw it coming.
You know, you missed out on being with the WWE for the, early Attitude Era, the rise of Stone Cold and The Rock. And these are, days that I really remember as a kid watching with my dad.
The best.
What do you remember most about that time and watching that, kind of take shape from afar?
Well, I'm really close friends to both of them. I only see Steve maybe once or twice a year. And The Rock I see a couple times a year. Those two guys, I mean, the entertainment levels they brought, and Vince McMahon too with Steve. I mean, they saved the company. Yeah. I mean, they saved the company because WCW had spent all this money trying to kick their ass, and then they had me help them bring Hogan in, and they had me help bring in Savage, and then I had to put them both over 5 times a piece because they wouldn't wrestle anybody else, right? So
yeah,
that didn't bother me putting the guys over. I just didn't like being on the sideline. I wasn't used to being on the sideline.
It's a tough position to be in for sure, and one you're not accustomed to at all.
You win the Heisman Trophy, right? The next day, if you're not doing what you want to do, or you're not happy, it doesn't mean nothing. You had something to put on your wall, but I mean, you've circled the wagons all the way around, and you're killing it right now, and you're happy as can be. Do you miss football?
I mean, at times, but I think I'm also like a fan of still the game and like seeing schematic things that I see in college or in the NFL.
Yeah, but you don't miss going to practice every day and that.
Oh, I don't miss that. I don't miss the grind of it. I don't miss,
I miss the feeling of, being in practice and maybe making a really good play, or being a game and making a good play, and like just feeling the ball leave your hand and knowing it's going to be perfect, like little things like that. But I don't miss top to bottom everything that has to do with football and what comes with it. I don't miss the notoriety and the fame and everything that comes with, not getting any privacy and being in the public eye or scrutinized for everything you do.
And you can go back and say to your kids or whoever you feel is important in your life, there was one day that I was the very best.
I got to live every dream I could have ever wanted as a kid, right? It didn't go exactly
the
way
Heisman Trophy says you're the best player in the country.
Yeah, I got to get drafted as a small quarterback in the first round and have an opportunity to go play in the NFL. Like a kid from where I'm from in Texas, that doesn't happen to a lot of people, and I've surpassed a lot of expectations in that regard. And it has been a blessing and an unbelievable ride. And I've got to see so much of the world and make so many friends and do a lot with my life that people in where I'm from don't get the opportunity to do. So, it gave me everything I could have ever wanted in life, regardless of how it went. And, walking away from the game is always something that's really, really hard. It does take you a while to get accustomed to it. I'm sure that's something that, you had to deal with, walking away from wrestling and leaving the business and living a normal life as well.
It took me forever. It's like, I don't have any liquor in my house except for the stuff we're selling right now. I never drink in my house, but I love to be out socially. When you've lived on the road for so long, it's so hard to sit in a place and watch Netflix or watch. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm Netflixed out. After I get off this interview with you, guess where I'm going?
Where are you going?
The rooftop bar at the Edition.
Hell yeah. I hear it's a good one.
I already got the bat signal.
I want to take a second to shout out our new partner, AU Vodka. It's the #1 ultra premium vodka brand in the UK, and now it's available in the US too. Available online in 35 states and in store in 8 states, AU Vodka is the type of drink I wish I had when I was in college. It tastes great and the flavors are insane. In a good way. There's pineapple crush, strawberry burst, and even bubblegum. They taste great, they're light, they're crisp, and perfect for the summer. Plus, they now have pre-mixed vodka sodas and seltzers, which really hit the spot. My favorite, blue raspberry. So refreshing, and there's only 120 calories for the people that care. Visit auvodka.us and use code Johnny for 20% off on your online order. That's Johnny at auvodka.us for 20% off online.
If you were a recruit right now and you're looking at the facilities, the campus, the girls, everything that entices young guys these days, what would a school that you would be circling on your list of being like, I would want to go spend 4 years here, get an education, and play some football?
I used to be really close to Steve Spurrier, and I went to almost all their bowl games. Even the one where they got killed by Nebraska out in Tempe. But they went back after that loss, and they rebuilt their weight room. And the next year they came back, and I think they beat Florida State in the repeat in New Orleans. To me, it's hard to walk away from Gainesville. I mean, I love Ann Arbor. Ann Arbor's nice. I mean, Chapel Hill is about as good as it comes too. Chapel Hill's Franklin Street is dynamite for guys like you and me, brother. We can go back to school like Rodney Dangerfield.
I've had a lot of friends that have gone to Florida, and they've absolutely loved their experience. They've loved Gainesville. Yeah. I think they speak about it in such a great way, in a way where they had a lot of fun. There's a lot of girls, a lot of good times on campus. So that's a place that I haven't been to yet, but really looking forward to getting a chance to go.
You got to blow. You got to blow through Gainesville, man. The swamp and the purple porpoise.
You were recruited by the University of Minnesota to play football in 1968. What did the recruiting process look like for you coming out of high school back then?
Well, I got recruited by 48 schools, but mostly small, because I came from a small school. You know what I mean? I got recruited by Iowa. I went and spent a weekend with Eddie Podolak, and then I went to Michigan and spent the weekend with Jim Mandich and who's that big right tackle for the Cardinals for years? Dan Dierdorf. And stayed at the Beta House and just had a hell of a time. But my academic advisor wouldn't write a letter saying that because I was in a private school, wouldn't write a letter saying that he thought I could predict. So I ended up going to Minnesota you can't play as a freshman when you're eligible, right? But I probably I went as a linebacker and then ran a 5.1 40, and I was an offensive guard with 1 hour later. I didn't know how to run a 40 back then. I never heard of it.
Yeah.
But then they put me in summer school. That didn't work for me, so I just got in my car and drove to Chicago for the weekend. Back then, your parents couldn't find out where you were. They thought
you could just go and do whatever you wanted.
They thought I was in school at Minnesota.
When you go on those recruiting visits back then, is it still, they stick you with some of the upperclassmen and
it's
take
so
you out
much fun.
take you out on the town?
Yeah.
I remember when I went to Texas A&M, I was so excited for my official visit, and we played, I think it was Nebraska or somebody who was good at the time, and went out with some of the upperclassmen after the game and was so excited to be able to go into bars and, see College Station for the first time. And I just remember, getting back in a Uber, or one of the guys driving me back to my team hotel and dropping me off at 2 or 3 in the morning. And, I get back to my room. I'm in a room connected with my mom, my dad, and my sister, and they just hear me throwing. They hear me throwing up. They hear me throwing up all night. My mom comes in and checks on me and makes sure I'm good. And then we have to go to breakfast the next morning with Coach Sherman. And I remember going and sitting down at the table, and he's talking to my parents about everything, and I'm sitting right next to him, and I'm pretty much white as a ghost. I can't say a word. I can't speak. I'm so sick. And I literally just go sit in the bathroom, I think, for the whole breakfast, and just am like probably sitting on the toilet with my hands on my head, just like, wow, that was the most fun I've ever had, but I am absolutely feeling it today. So talk to me a little bit about, Ric Flair Drip, Flair Spirits, and some of the products that you've got going there in the beverage and THC world, and kind of what you're up to in the business world these days.
Well, the cannabis is really lucrative. I'm in 12 states now, and now we're going to go, I'll know more by the end of this week, but we're going to go over to overseas with it. We're going to go to Thailand, yeah. And the energy drink is doing so, but it's such a competitive business. You know what I mean? But we have I told your producer, we have a potential meeting with some people in Shanghai. And if I can get the energy drink in China or Tokyo, because I've been to Japan 68 times. I have a lot of friends over there. If I can get it launched in one of those places, it'll be sensational.
Well, that's awesome. I'm definitely gonna try the THC. I definitely need to get a little care package, and I'll let you know how it is for sure.
Send me your address.
I got you.
Hey, when we get off there, we'll trade numbers now.
Absolutely. I think this has been, from start to finish, something that I've always wanted to sit down and talk with you. I've seen you a little bit throughout the years. You've always been really, really kind to me. This talk has been exactly of what I expected it to be. You're
thank you.
Unbelievably unique, amazing, special individual. And we've talked about a lot of special moments. There's obviously so much to your story that's even hard to get in one podcast. But, I kind of always end the podcast by asking my guests.
We'll do Manziel too.
No doubt. We'll have you back on for sure. But I kind of always end in a way where I ask my guests the same question. If you had to choose one word to define your glory days throughout your life, what is that word that sums up Ric Flair and all that comes with him?
I'd like to use Kid Rock saying,
"Go for it."
Never met a motherfucker quite like me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, man, I think that puts a fucking pin in everything that you are, everything that we've talked about.
You never met a motherfucker quite like me.
Woo! And you probably fucking won't, to be honest. I feel
can guarantee you. I know. I'm coming there. I'm coming to Arizona to see you for sure.
You're coming. I'm going to have the rooftop bar ready for us. Trust me, buddy.
Hey, we got unfinished business.
No doubt we do. Well, I'm going to let you get to the edition and let you get to some cold ones. And thank you for coming on.
Hey, tell Drake I'm going to the edition. he had a party there that tore the place down.
I'll definitely see him tonight and tell him we had a nice podcast and tell him you said hello.
Have you ever been to this nightclub in Canada?
No, I haven't.
Oh, his nightclub in Canada is to die, man. It's beautiful.
Well, I'm going to get back there in a couple weeks, so I'll be back in Toronto at the end of the month. So I'm looking forward to it.
We'll trade numbers and all that, okay?
Would love to, my friend. Appreciate you. This is Glory Daze with Ric Flair.